I'd like to now turn our attention to Will Ginsberg, a visionary leader whose dedication has been crucial to our success. Will has been the cornerstone in the establishment and growth of VCF. His leadership at the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven has been nothing short of transformative, and his advocacy for VCF has been a beacon of rock-solid support. If you want to read Will's resume and a list of his accomplishments, it's a long resume, and you'd have to pack a lunch. But, but because some of you are new to VCF and may not be familiar with Will and his background, I'll do my best to condense some of it here. Will has been at the helm of TCF since 2000, leading it with passion and dedication that stems from a lifelong commitment to community service. His career has spanned various facets of community development, from local economic initiatives to national policy, making him a pivotal figure in shaping both the physical and social landscapes of the communities he has served. And by the way, Joe Carbone called to say he was sorry he wasn't able to be here, but that he is the one who brought you to New Haven. He just wanted me to make sure. I think he wrote it on our Facebook page. I'm not positive. I told him I would mention it. As TCF's president and CEO, Will has not only expanded the foundation's reach, but has also forged transformative programs and initiatives that have enhanced educational and economic opportunities across the region. Before leading TCF, Will's career included notable public service in the Clinton administration, where he served as Assistant Secretary for Economic Development at the U.S. Department of Commerce, and as Chief of Staff to the Secretary of Commerce, Ronald Brown. Following his time in Washington, Will contributed significantly to New Haven's development, overseeing all development-related activities of the city's municipal government, and later leading the Science Park Development Corporation. As Will prepares to retire after 24 incredible years at TCF, he leaves behind a legacy of profound impact and community betterment. In recognition of his countless contributions, several proclamations and citations from federal, state, and local officials have been awarded to him. You can see we have a table full of them over there. And so they all express the extraordinary language conveying the accolades and much deserved praise to Will. In particular, there are two proclamations, one from Ansonia's Mayor David Cassetti. Is he still here? Is Dave still here? There he is, okay. And Derby's Mayor Joseph DiMartino, who had one of his meetings for tonight, proclaiming that today, May 15th, 2024, as the William W. Ginsberg Day in the cities of Ansonia and Derby. Celebrating and commemorating his dedication and service. All these wonderful official tributes from Senator Richard Blumenthal, Secretary of State Stephanie Thomas, State Rep. Cara Rochelle, and others are true testaments to the indelible mark Will has left in our Valley community. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please join me in welcoming to the podium a man whose vision, passion, and tireless dedication have profoundly shaped the landscape of philanthropy in our region, Mr. William Ginsberg.
Well, thank you, Sharon. Thank you all. Thank you all very much. I'm overwhelmed by that introduction. It is wonderful to be with you all. I love this event every year. You can feel the community spirit here. It pervades this room. You really are too kind, Sharon. And I have to say, I'm deeply honored by all you said and by all this fuss. You surely overstate my role in VCF's 20-year saga. The people who got us to this point are you all and your neighbors in this community. But still, I have to say, Will Ginsberg Day in Derby and Ansonia, you know, who'd have thunk it, right? I mean, seriously. And the truth is that the idea of being welcomed in that way to this community has been a dream of mine since the first memorable time I tasted lobster and shrimp habites at Roseland, which was in 2000. You get treated very well at Roseland when you go with Ken Scheibel and Jimmy Ryan, I can tell you. But seriously, this honor tonight really shows that the reflected glory of VCF and all it means to the Valley community is big enough even to reach all the way to me. So I do appreciate it very much, and I'm very honored. I don't believe that I've missed a VCF annual meeting or annual reception in these last 2 decades, and I certainly wouldn't have missed the opportunity to be with you tonight. And while this will be the last such VCF gathering that I attend in my current role, I know that it won't be my last. I look forward to attending in the future, not as the representative of your institutional partner in New Haven, but just as one who, like you all, is here because of my personal commitment to VCF and to its success as the path to the brightest possible future for the Valley. So I want to start this evening by saying a heartfelt happy 20th anniversary to VCF. Here's to VCF. Speaking as one who, as Sharon said, was present at the creation, that it's been 2 decades is quite remarkable. Indeed, from my perspective, going back to the beginning, going back to a now legendary, or at least in my mind, legendary, maybe in Mary's mind too, brainstorming with Mary and Jimmy Ryan in the darkened parking lot at Pitney Bowes after a Valley Advisory Committee meeting about couldn't we create a different set of dynamics around these issues. And when I think of the prehistory of VCF, I remember people like the late Ray Levites and the late Joe Pagliaro Sr., and how they lit up as Valley leaders at the idea. You could see it in their excitement, in their faces, and in their words when we talked about the idea of VCF to them. It saddens me that neither of them lived to see VCF created or to see what it became. And those conversations all predated the signing of the original affiliation agreement between VCF and TCF, which took place on Valentine's Day, 2004. I guess we knew this was going to be a labor of love from the beginning. So as I think about it, the story goes back even further than that, and further, well before me. There were ideas at the Valley Chamber about doing something like a community foundation for the Valley in the 1990s. And I don't know if Bill Purcell is here, but I remember sitting with Bill in his office at the Valley Chamber and talking about that. These were ideas that had been kicking around even before I came back to Connecticut. It was when my family and I did come back, and I started at the foundation in the fall of 2000, that I really was introduced to the Valley. I had known New Haven, but I really didn't know the Valley in my first life in Connecticut. Through conversations with Ken Scheibel, who was on our board then, and by watching and listening to and working with the members of our Valley Advisory Committee, including its chairs, Irene Smith, I'm sure many people in this room remember Irene, and then Jimmy Ryan, and many other Valley luminaries who served on that Valley Advisory Committee. I came to see, by listening to them and watching that dynamics, what made the Valley so special. The depth of pride and caring and commitment and community connection, and yes, protectiveness that defines the Valley. And I gradually came to understand more than 20 years ago the qualities that make the Valley so special and so unique. The Valley is a community in the best sense, with its own identity, its own history, its own feeling. Most of all, the Valley is deep in the hearts of those who live here and have roots here. And philanthropy is, after all, a matter of the heart. As my friend and board member Greg Pepe just said to me whenever he comes to the Valley, he feels like he's come home. And as Sharon said at length in her remarks, the VCF board has put this feeling into words, calling it Valleyness. And you step back and think about the success of VCF over these 20 years, the way it has grown from just a good idea to a $37 million organization today, the support it's gotten, the central role it plays in and for the Valley community. That's the best testament to the strength of this idea of Valleyness. Yes, the story of VCF over these last 20 years is certainly a story that you can count, dollars and funds, grants and the like, but it's much more than that. At its 20th anniversary, we should pause to consider what it means and will mean to the future of the Valley community to have built this institution. VCF today is a powerful vehicle to help the Valley meet its needs of today and to build the resources that will support the Valley far into the future, unto perpetuity, as we like to say in the endowment business. You all know much better than I do, but I would hazard a guess that creating and building VCF over these last 20 years is one of the Valley's proudest achievements in this time. I hope everyone in this room feels that pride and shares in it. And I will add a prediction to my guess, which is that the pride you feel and your community feels will only continue to grow as VCF grows in scale and impact in the coming decades. Now, community philanthropy, of course, is not just an affair of the heart. It's also an affair of the pocketbook. Questions of money have been at the center of the VCF story over these last 20 years, too. The Gates Fund, the product of the extraordinarily generous philanthropic legacy of Frank and Ross Gates of Derby, is at the center of this story. Their bequests to the New Haven Foundation in the early 50s, which is when they both passed away within a couple of years of one another, quote, for the benefit of Derby and vicinity, tripled the New Haven Foundation's assets from $2 million to $6 million in the early 50s. A half century later, when I got involved, we were a decade into an ongoing discussion about how much of the annual Gates Fund distribution would support Valley organizations and who would make those decisions. And I'm going to say this looking right at my friend Alan Tyma, who's over there. In discussions with the Valley Advisory Committee, we had made a lot of progress in working together, but the central Valley philanthropy question at that time was still about control. Who controls the Gates Fund? The creation of VCF reframed that question. VCF changed the debate. Most importantly, it made us partners. Through VCF, we put the grant-making decisions where they would create the greatest impact, in the hands of the VCF board members, those who know the Valley best. And we became partners in raising new Valley philanthropy. We had few Valley funds at TCF before VCF was created. Today, VCF has more than 260 philanthropic funds. You all and your neighbors, the good people of the Valley, have responded magnificently to the opportunity of having a community foundation that is totally of, by, and for the Valley. At this 20th anniversary, we should also pause to consider what it took to change the game in this way. While my predecessors at the Community Foundation didn't necessarily feel this way in 1992 and 1993, much credit is owed to those who challenged the status quo by first raising the question of control of Gates. And I say that again, looking at Alan, my friend Alan. Much credit is owed to them. Change begins by posing tough questions. But it was a big step and a tough step to go from posing tough questions to conceiving and entering into a new model of partnership to leverage the Gates Fund, not just to fight over control of it. And there was criticism and there was opposition from friends and colleagues. But in the face of that criticism and opposition, key Valley community leaders put their credibility on the line in those early days, credibility they had built in this community over their lifetimes to move forward with this idea of a bold new partnership. And this is really the point, I think, that community philanthropy, like the basic idea of community itself, is about people working together. It's about seeing oneself and one's giving as part of a larger effort to build a stronger community. Community philanthropy is about partnership. The VCF-TCF affiliation agreement is the overarching partnership, but really, when you stop and think about it, every VCF donor, every fund at VCF, every nonprofit supported by VCF represents a philanthropic partnership. We are all partners in this never-ending work of community. The grand community partnership called a community foundation is about gifts and grants and funds and programs and community knowledge and community connections, all the things we always talk about. And it's about partnership, as I just said. But at its best and its most impactful, community philanthropy is about something more too. It's about community leadership. And over my nearly quarter century in this field, I've seen a dramatic evolution in how community foundations think of themselves. When I came into the field in 2000, when I left Washington, the challenge was how to compete for donor-advised gifts against the large financial firms like Fidelity and Vanguard that were dominating the donor-advised fund business. Today, it's completely different. What is driving our field is the challenge of community leadership. When community foundation leaders get together, the discussion focuses around how we can provide leadership to our communities. Leadership in helping to establish priorities, to set community agendas, and to partner with other leadership institutions and individuals to move our communities forward. This community leadership role is particularly important in communities like ours, in the Valley, just as in New Haven, where much of the old civic leadership lineup, the lineup of a generation or two ago, the local banks, the local manufacturers, local utilities, are gone now, where they're part of larger organizations whose community loyalties lie elsewhere. This is a reality of 21st century America. So it's up to community institutions with community missions to step into that breach. Now, I always say that the true test of leadership is whether there are followers, right? I mean, we all learn to be wary of self-proclaimed leaders, the proverbial emperor with no clothes, who has no followers. VCF is anything but a self-proclaimed leader. Look around this room. What you see says what we all know, that VCF has become a genuinely trusted and credible community leader over these last 20 years. I've been delighted to see this evolution, and I would add that I'm very proud of the ways in which TCF has partnered with and supported VCF as it stepped into this leadership role. Think about the leadership work that VCF does on the Community Wellbeing Index. Think about the leadership work you've provided through your collective impact efforts. Indeed, for those with long memories, think about the Valley Needs and Opportunities Project that even predated and then was eventually folded into VCF. This is the kind of work that goes beyond individual grants to individual organizations. This work helps to bring people together, to establish priorities, community priorities, and to drive a community-wide agenda for the future. This work has helped to engage people in delivering on that agenda. That's what I mean when I talk about community leadership. And today, VCF is taking that leadership work to an even higher level. In 2020, when the pandemic descended on all of us like a tidal wave of inequity, and George Floyd was murdered in Minnesota, the Community Foundation, TCF, stepped forward to do more and to do our work differently. For the first time ever, we took supplemental appropriations from our endowment, and adding to that, we had a wonderful response from our donors, so that from 2020 through the end of 23, the end of last year, we spent almost $34 million to address the impacts of COVID and to advance racial equity through our work on opportunity and equity. Thank you. Now, we call this initiative Stepping Forward. And as that name suggests, Stepping Forward was intended to be a bold leadership move. VCF, too, chose to be a partner in Stepping Forward. Through our partnership, we took supplemental appropriations also from our Valley resources, including the Gates Fund. And last September, using those resources, we made a grant of more than $625,000 to VCF to support its Stepping Forward work. With that grant, and contributing its own resources as well, VCF is advancing racial equity both internally and its work with others in the Valley. In addition, the largest share of this funding will go to build the capacity and expand the work of the Valley Council for Health and Human Services, and I'm delighted Nancy Hampson is here, who's leading that work. Now, one of the hallmarks of true leadership is empowering others to lead. And that's what's been at the core of our leadership work in New Haven over the last 15 years. I would cite examples like New Haven Promise. And it's what VCF is doing with and for the Valley Council, empowering the Valley Council to do more and to lead in this community. And when you think about it, that's what our partnership with VCF has been about for these last 2 decades, using resources not only to do leadership work ourselves, but to empower others, to empower VCF to lead in its own way as well. So as I look back now over the last 20 years and over my time in the Valley, I see that we've gone from a vigorous debate, actually 30 years ago. From a vigorous debate 30 years ago, there emerged the idea that we could do more to help this community by working together to grow Valley philanthropy than by continuing to argue over who would control the distribution of Valley philanthropy. And from that idea emerged a new partnership and a new institution, this institution, VCF. And over time, VCF has succeeded not only growing Valley philanthropy and directing Valley grant making, but has become a genuine community leader for the lower Naugatuck Valley as well. And that is an extraordinary scenario over the last 20 and 30 years. So that brings us to tonight, and the question I will leave you with as I step away from this role later this year. To repeat what I said before, the question is, how will VCF provide leadership for the Valley, truly and fully inclusive leadership that brings the whole community together and moves the whole community forward in the years to come? So needless to say, there are so many who have contributed so much to all this progress since 2004 and even before that, as I said. So many players and leaders who have made this story happen. So many of them are here in this room tonight, which is great to see, and a number are not, of course. I've mentioned far too few of them in these remarks, not to shortchange anyone, but because there are just too many names to call out. And because ultimately, the VCF story is about something we all did together. It's not just about those individuals. I will say a couple of things, though, related to the individuals involved. First, far too much attention, as I said before, is being paid to me tonight. This VCF story is about you all and what you've done in your community. It's not about me. Second, I will mention a few names. The 3 executives who have led VCF so ably: Angela Powers, who wore multiple hats here, Jamie Cohen, and now Sharon Closius. Secondly, the board members who served both of our institutions simultaneously as guardians of our partnership: Ken Scheibel, Alan Tima, Jimmy Ryan, and currently my friend Terry Jones. Thirdly, our staff in New Haven, and I'm delighted that many of them are here. From every corner of our institution, our staff has worked day in and day out, hand in hand with VCF's team. And I would particularly note our 3 staff members who served as VCF's Chief Financial Officer: Drew Alden, Wendy Gamba, and now Marcy Monaco. I think they are. And I want to mention just 2 more people by name. I mentioned them before. They're not here. Frank and Ross Gates. 20 years ago, at the event when we announced the creation of VCF, it was held at Brownson Country Club, I said that day that I hoped that the people whose generosity made VCF possible, looking down from their heavenly perch, would be pleased at the new direction that we were launching at that time for Valley Philanthropy using their legacy. Tonight, 20 years later, I express that same hope again. And I do so with more confidence. I'm confident because we all, working together, have over these last 20 years been faithful and true to the Gates brothers' legacy and to their vision for how philanthropy can be a vehicle to sustain and build the lower Naugatuck Valley for the future. And finally, one more point. For almost 25 years now, it has been a joy and privilege for me to work with and befriend so many of you and get to know your community as well as I have. The more I've come to know the Valley and understand your commitment to it, the more I've come to respect and revere what you have here. As I don't need to tell you all, the Valley is a very special place, a place of uncommonly deep connection, deep caring, and deep confidence in its own future. These are the ingredients of successful community philanthropy: connection, caring, and confidence in the future. And your community has them in abundance. VCF is your community in institutional form. In parting, I can only urge you to continue supporting it as a path to building the best possible future for the Valley. And I thank you all for your friendship and partnership in all that we have done together.
Thank you, Will. You can understand the background and everything that he has brought to the Valley. And so we want to give you a special little something that I know you don't have. I'm pretty sure you don't have. I don't know, many of you may not know this, but Will loves maps.
It is true.
He does. He collects maps.
I have too many, according to my wife.
Okay, well, you got one more. This is a map of the old valley. I think it's 1889 of Ansonia, Derby, back in the day. And Shelton is here and Oxford is here. So we would love to have
Thank
this
you so much.
be part of your memorial. And then with your, that's a place to hang it. You can bring it over to the valley and we can hang it here too after a
I'm
while.
not giving this.
Yes. Oh, I guess we are taking a picture with the map. Thank you. I don't think you have one of those.
I don't.
Okay, well, nothing could have explained more why it's important about understanding Valley and Valleyness. Those of you in the room understand, and as Will said, is ingrained in all of you. And, you know, we have the challenge of, is the future generations going to understand it? So I hope you will enjoy our conversations in the future about Valleyness and how you can help us share that and spread it all throughout.